Every time you hear someone say McLaren, the first thought is a racetrack and a fast, low and loud supercar dissecting it one apex at a time. And for their latest one, the 750S, that is just the setting they had.
And what better way to celebrate the last of the non-hybrid V8s than to belt it around the iconic Estoril circuit in Portugal. This car is absolutely at home on a racetrack. Just everything about it says focus, speed, performance. I mean, you can see I'm decked up completely for racetrack. I have a harness on. And it just is absolutely unforgiving. But let's talk about the hero, that engine. 4-liter twin turbo, 750 horsepower and 800 Nm. 0 to 100, 2.8 seconds. 0 to 200, 7.2 seconds. 0 to 300, 19.8 seconds. And it'll do the standing quarter in 10.1 seconds. Top speed, 332 kph. It is extremely fast.
The raw and primal speed is a result of some outstanding engine development. It has higher cylinder pressures, twin fuel pumps for higher fuel flow rate, better turbo boost pressure, lightweight pistons and better calibration, all to obtain one primary result: speed.
This engine is an absolute gem.
What assists the engine in equal measure is the 7-speed gearbox, which like the rest of the car is heavy on nerdiness. The pinion and crown wheel within the transmission final drive, for example, is derived from F1 using nickel chromoly alloy.
What they've done to the 750S is shorten the gearing ratio by 15%. And that means in-gear acceleration is absolutely savage. There is absolutely no delay in terms of power delivery. And the engine is alive, especially in its track setting. In track mode, the gear shifts aren't as raucous. They are slightly smoother, and that's always better because you want that consistent flow. You don't want something that's extremely hyper.
Switch to sport mode and you will feel a lot more of those shifts and rawness of the 750S. Also exclusive to sport and track mode is a new limit downshift transmission function, which means that if the driver calls for a downshift that would over-rev the engine, the software acknowledges the request but changes down only when the engine speed and road speed can be harmonized. Essentially, allows the rev needle to bounce on the limiter before downshifting, and that is always hysterical.
I mean, it's a McLaren after all. The steering calibration, again, very different from the 720S. They've gone and improved it somehow. That was already the benchmark. And it is just so much different, so much more consistent, and so much more direct. There's absolutely no give. You point it, and the nose dives in.
What enhances the agility is the 6mm rise in the front track for better grip, a quicker steering ratio, and a new power assist pump. But don't think you can't have fun in this, because there is variable drift control with a wide breadth of settings to slowly guide you into turning out Chris Harris style power slides. It will take practice, but the car will help you without any intervention from the electronics.
And what helps its case is also the suspension. You have the chassis control in its third generation now. You have updated springs, they are lighter. You have a different stiffness as well. They are 3% softer in the front, 4% stiffer in the rear. And that's just McLaren, you know, that's what they do. It's all about those minor changes. 3%, 4%, 15% shorter ratio. And it all adds up to make a big, big difference. This car is just so raw and so old school. I mean, it seems old school given its rivals all have moved to electrification in some form or the other. This one continues to have that purity about it. Incredible.
However, for all its mind-blowing speed, the 750S is also mind-blowing when it comes to slowing down.
It's incredible how effective the brakes are. I mean, you've got these big 6-piston carbon ceramics at front, monoblock calipers if you take the optional track brake package, and of course you have that extended wing that adds to the downforce and the braking. It also acts as an air brake. Oof. And it definitely is effective. 100 to 0 is just 30 meters. And that's the result of the updated brakes. You've got new brake boosters in there. There's a vacuum pump as well. So altitude changes are not a problem. You have the same pressure. And what McLaren has also done is improve the pedal feel, which means you have a very consistent braking and a very strong and reassuring bite. I mean, to be honest, it's an absolute nerd fest with the numbers. Like I said, 2%, 4%, 20 kgs lighter, 15% shorter. The point is, it is a car, or rather it is one of the very few cars that offers you an unadulterated experience. Raw, vicious, and it will challenge you. I'm really not doing it justice right now. It can do so much better.
Mastering the track will take commitment, but out on the road, it is a very different car. We drove both the Coupe and the Spider, and what gets you instantly is the duality of the 750S. In city traffic and on the public roads, it is as easy to drive as any other conventional sports car, masking its mammoth power. In comfort, the steering is light, the gearbox is lenient, and the ride is exceptional. Sure, Portugal can't hold a candle to Indian roads, but even on some cobbled streets, the ride is unlike any other supercar. Then is the Spider, which not only looks stunning, but you can hear so much of that glorious soundtrack, along with the chorus of the turbo wastegate and air intakes. If you don't really care about track days, the Spider, just for the hysteria, is the better choice. And it looks so much cooler too.
Well, in terms of design, minimalistic is what McLaren follows, and that's pretty much what this is. You need to be a hard connoisseur of McLaren to find out what is different from the older 720S. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the philosophy here. And so not a lot of change, but you have a new bumper, a reprofiled bumper. You get a new design for the air intakes as well. Slightly wider, slightly sharper. Don't mind that, nobody minds that sound. Then you have the front splitter as well, which is again redesigned so that the rear wing that has been enhanced by around 20% to compensate for that. So the splitter had to be adjusted. That's just McLaren's way, you know, everything is about mm and inches and little percentages. Of course, it is a supercar, so the nose is very, very low, especially for India, but it does have an optional nose lift function, which is quite fast as well. Compared to the 720, it's around 6 seconds fast. So For the nose to go up, it takes just 4 seconds compared to the 10 seconds on the 720S. And in terms of the changes, you have the bonnet that is all aluminum, but you can have this in carbon fiber as well. You also have these headlamp ducts that are again carbon fiber, but you can have them in body colored. So basically you can play around a lot with the customization and ensure that no two McLarens are identical. That's the front. Then you have these fenders right here that are again carbon fiber. You have the ducts in them to relieve pressure from the wheel well, and it all is about aero and how this car tries to cut through the track and make everything fast. Next, you have the wheels, which are really sharp looking, 19 inches for the front, 20 inches for the rear. Now these are the Vortex design wheels. As standard, you get the other design, which is quite light as well. But in terms of that striking appeal, these do the job perfectly.
In terms of tyre options, you can choose between 3 Pirelli P0, Pirelli P0 Corsa and Pirelli P0 Trofeo R for the best track performance. The Spider also has twin buttresses that also feature a rear windscreen to reduce buffeting in the cabin.
Again, because this is a Spider, you don't get the glass in the center, which gets you a peek into the engine, but that's all right. You can hear a lot more of that. And as we come around to the back, the big change, of course, is the rear wing that has been enhanced, 20% larger now. So definitely better aero, better downforce and better braking. It also acts as an air brake, and that is extremely efficient. That's exactly what's happening right there. The other thing is the exhaust that has also been redesigned, 2.2 kgs lighter than the 720S. And if you remember the 765, that got the quad exhaust setup, looked like Audi rings, but that's not the case anymore. This looks like a Type-C port, but McLaren has ensured that it sounds really nice, bassy, full. And once you up the revs around 8,000 RPM, 8,500 is the red line, you're probably hearing that. That is absolute bliss, especially in the convertible. You can hear so much of that engine, the turbo spooling up, the wastegate sounds. It is a pure joy to drive. Low down, new bumper again. You have the ducts to relieve pressure from the rear wheel wells, and you have a rear diffuser that is all new. You also have these vents right here that again help with the cooling of the engine. And overall, the idea is to make this car go as fast as possible through the air and just ensure that everything sticks. It sticks to the ground really well. That's on the outside. Let's quickly see what's new on the inside. Big doors, never short of drama. And well, once you're in, you see the minimalistic approach carried out here as well. It's all about performance and focus. That's what McLaren does best. So you won't see a lot of quilted leather, you won't see leather padding, tan interior, none of that. That is reserved for some other cars. This is a purebred supercar, which means a lot of Alcantara, race text as you call it, lots of carbon fiber, and again, very minimalistic, buttonless.
That said, if you want some leather treatment, a full Napa leather trimmed interior or a combination of Alcantara and Napa leather are available as well.
Now the big change is the instrument cluster that is all new. It's a single piece fixed digital screen, a lot of information. The rocker switches have been moved to the side, so you have your drive mode buttons and your traction control button right here. You also have a very important function again for India. Nose lift function is a direct switch right now, and that is to the left of you. Obviously for right hand drive, it'll be slightly different. In the center console, you have a vertical mounted touchscreen. Apple CarPlay is standard. You have a better high resolution camera as well now. Again, parking these things is always a bit of an issue. That is definitely going to help a lot. The other switches, you have your aero switch right here, you have the Kiwi switch, and you have the launch control. That's going to come handy on some drag races for sure. The seats are nice, comfortable race seats, but you also get the option of carbon fiber bucket seats. Those are a lot more focused, and if you take your track time real serious, then that's going to come in handy quite a lot. Of course, you also have electric adjust for these seats, so you do have some functionality and you do have some flexibility depending on your body structure and how you'd like to sit driving position wise. But the steering, again, covered in Alcantara. You have these lovely metallic paddles as well, very satisfactory to use. And of course, flat bottom and absolutely no button, nothing to distract you from the joy of driving. That's the interior. Now the roof comes up in around 11 seconds. You can do it up to 50 kilometers an hour. And once it's up, you also have a sunroof that's photochromatic, which means at the touch of a button, you get a nice bit of tint if the sun's too hot. And if it's not, then you have a nice clear sky above. So yeah, a pretty packed cabin for what it is. And again, the focus is on functionality and getting this car as fast as possible. And once you're in here, that's all you want to do. You don't care about all these, the touchscreen and the CarPlay. Yeah, once in a while you'll use it. But the overall idea is to just grab these and look ahead and just press that right foot. So the 750S, an absolute mad supercar, especially in a setting like this, the iconic Estoril circuit. But if you want it back in India as well and you take your track time very seriously, this will absolutely blow your head off. 720 was already so good, and this has just bettered that. You have 750 horsepower, so more power than before. You have a lot more in terms of aero, a lot more in terms of handling and gearing. So the focus is on someone who really likes to drive. If you take your track time very seriously, also opt for the track brake package. That will do absolute wonders. And in terms of customization, you have a lot of options. There's a lot in the accessories list that you can choose from and tune your car to your liking. But overall, it remains a very pure supercar. You have the engine, again, no electrification, the last of the non-hybrid V8s, and well, it is absolutely smashing, lovely to sound. It has all the drama with the doors and the design. For those who are really looking at putting this out on the BIC or the MMRT, then this is a very solid option. And compared to your Ferraris and Lambos, this one is a bit more unique as well. You have that cred, you have that sense of, you have something that nobody else has, and that is exactly what this is. A car unlike any other, a supercar unlike any other.